So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 14 different foundations in my collection of foundation presently. Ideally, I only like to have about 4 foundations in my rotation because I feel like I can keep up with them and there aren't foundations sitting around that I am not using that are just sitting there that I forget that I even have, which is my predicament at the moment. Now, most makeup reviewers have way more than 14 different foundations in their collection. I prefer to have no more than 4 foundations at a time. And there were a few months last year when that was working out for me. I would look over at my nightstand, I'd be like, I got my 4 foundations, I like them, they're for different finishes, for different times of the season, and I'm using them. But recently, I just counted up my foundations, noticed that I have 14, and I was just like, let me do a video about these foundations, as much for me as for you, the viewer, to see how I got here and just talk about what I really use versus what I have and what my favorites are as well. And also just to show you what is in my collection in case you happen to be my skin tone or closer and you just wanted to get some shade match references of the foundations that are in my collection. So let's get started. So I'm gonna start with the foundations that I have and have not used in months, that I just have not used. There's not that many of them, but there are a few. So I'm gonna start with the Beauty Bakerie InstaBake Liquid Glass Foundation. That's this. And as you can see, I use a good portion of this foundation. I will link my dedicated reviews to these foundations if I have them somewhere in the video and in the description box below. This is the shade 319N. And I recall that I was impressed by this. I don't know if I feel like it was glass skin, but I did really like the finish of it. So I'm just gonna swatch a little bit of this on my arm. So that's what that looks like. And this might be one of 2 things by Beauty Bakerie that I love. I love this and I love their setting powder, as you know. This is 613N, which is neutral. And again, this is the Beauty Bakerie InstaBake Aqua Glass Foundation. And I have not used this in over a year. Another foundation, which is a serum foundation that I haven't used in a long time, is the Ordinary Serum Foundation. That's this. And this is in 3.1 Y Dark. Y, I believe, is for yellow. These tend to have very yellowy undertones, but as I recall, there is a really nice range of shades in this serum foundation. It is very watery. I don't know if you can hear that. And so I'm gonna try to pump out a tiny bit for a swatch. This is what that looks like. I'm gonna swatch it right here. And you can see, like, this is, I guess, more on the yellowy brownish side, but it's a light coverage. So it's really just to like even out the tone of your skin. It's very light and liquidy. It's a serum foundation. It's not meant to be like a high coverage foundation. And I liked it. I think my only con about this is that it is very much on the yellowy side, which, you know, some of us like. Sometimes I like it. But again, I have not used this foundation in quite some time now. These are the stick foundations from Juvia's place that I picked up when they launched them. And it just reminded me that I have one foundation here that I haven't brought along with me. And I will get to that in a moment. But these are the 2 foundation sticks that I picked up from Juvia's place. One of them is Namibia, that's this one, and I use this to contour. And the one that I do use or did use for my face is Mauritania. And that's what this looks like. Now this one is way better a match than the liquid foundation that I have by them, but I'm gonna bring that one in a minute. And again, this is Mauritania. and I haven't used these foundation sticks. Like, I use this one a lot. I use this one all the time. I stopped using it for a little bit, but then I come back to using it because I feel like this is a really good contour shade for me. I'm wearing it right now. But this I haven't worn in a while. Like, I haven't worn stick foundation as well, I will say, in over a year. So here is the I Am Magic foundation, the liquid foundation from Juvia's Place. And I have this in the shade Kampala. I was never quite sure if this was my exact match, but I think it's a good match. The thing about these foundations from Juvia's Place is they're super high coverage. A beautiful, like silk, just soft, like really seamless finish. But they're very concentrated. So coming right out of this little squeezy tube, this didn't automatically look like a good match for me. Like, you'll see all of these that are the spots that are dried up look super dark, right? But the foundation itself, see if I can get a bit, is not, it's actually closer to this shade, which is a closer match for me. Still a bit dark, as you can see. This one up here, Mauritania, way better match. This one, a lot darker. And they have so many shades on Juvia's Place, which is always a good thing. And I've been through them over and over again, and I felt like I never really found my exact shade match. I don't know if I will go back and see if I can find one, because I really do. This foundation is fantastic. I feel like Juvia's Place's foundation and complexion products have always been on point for me. Like, I have never been disappointed, but this one is not my exact match. So that might be why I haven't worn it in a while. But when I do wear it, because I do sometimes like to wear foundations that are slightly darker, I've been able to make it work perfectly. Like, it's not like way too dark where I can't make it work. I can definitely make this work. But again, I have not used this in quite some time. So this next foundation is kind of a mystery why I have not ever done a dedicated review to it. I just have a weird relationship with Huda Beauty products. I've been really disappointed by their eyeshadows. I have bought them, taken them back. I tried the liquid foundation when that first dropped. Hated the heavy smell of it. Felt like it was too thick. I've had this Huda Beauty foundation stick for months, and I just never got around to reviewing it. I have it in the shade Gingerbread 430 Neutral, and that's what that looks like. It's a pretty good match for me. I like it. I think it's fine. Like, I guess I wasn't like super crazy about it, and I didn't hate it, and I don't know. It just kind of fell between the cracks. Neutral shades are pretty good matches for me, I noticed. Even though sometimes I like a bit of warmth, in which case I will try out a W if it's available in the shade range that I'm looking for. But neutrals, I've noticed, are a very, very good match for my skin tone. So yeah, I like it. That's my review right now. I like it. It is a sort of like a matte finish. It is medium to full coverage, I think. I just have not used stick foundation as foundation in a while. I've been doing liquid, so yeah. Okay, so now let's get into the powder foundation from Fenty Beauty. I got two of them because the first one that I got, 400, while it was fine, is not my shade match. It's kind of dark for me. This is what 400 looks like. And I mean, that's not so bad. But I knew it wasn't my match, and I really wanted to do a dedicated review with a shade that was a closer match to me, which turned out to be 385. And that's what that is looking like. Gotta admit, that's a lot closer. And let me just give you the right name for this. This is the Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Powder Foundation by Fenty. I love so much about these, from the packaging to the mirror inside and the way this flips up and you get this little sponge that you probably shouldn't use. But I haven't really used them very much since I did my dedicated reviews. I'm just gonna be honest, I haven't. Like, I often forget I even have them. I think mostly because they're in compacts and they're powders, and powder foundation just is not the thing that I like reach for. But I do not regret at all getting these. Like, I'm a Fenty stan, so like I needed to have these in my collection. So that's the story on that. You know, I think a lot of people probably don't really think when they throw on foundation that they want to go for a powder foundation, but these also double really well as like finishing powders to put over other foundations. So if you're using another Fenty Beauty foundation like the Pro Filt'r matte foundation or the hydrating, to finish with these is also probably a really good thing to do. It's probably also something that you can do to kind of like keep these in your rotation. Other than that, I just haven't, like in my mind, I don't think like, oh, I'm gonna try this powder foundation today, because it's not instilled in my routine. My routine is using liquid foundation. It's just like boop, boop, bop. I don't have to think about it. I know what to do. With these, I never quite got the hang of it, but I don't hate them. I like them. And yeah, haven't been using these either. So now we're up to a couple of luxury foundations that I love. One of them is the AJ Crimson Dual Skin Foundation. Definitely did a review of this. It wasn't dedicated. I used it with some other product, but I love this foundation. And let me just show you where we're at with this right now. Not because I've used it lately, although I've used it once or twice in the last couple of weeks, but because it's almost done. And I really try to use this sparingly because I love it so, so much. This foundation, I have to tell you, I just feel like it's so underrated. The finish of it, because it's in a compact, let me see, it's gonna be a little difficult to do a swatch. I can't explain the consistency of this. It almost feels like oil slickish, but the finish ain't like an oil slick. The finish is just like your skin, but better. So that's what that looks like. I kind of feel like this is the shade 4.5. I feel like 4 would be my perfect match, but when I use this, you would not know the difference. It dries down so light and skin-like, and I just love it so much. It was one of the most pleasant surprises that I've had in the foundation world, I think, last year, because I was just like, how come he's not selling at Sephora? How come he's not on Beautylish? None of that. You can only get this foundation on AJ Crimson's website, and I suggest everyone try this. It retails for about $45, so it's not cheap. It's definitely in the luxury range, but baby, it is worth every penny. And I try to save my luxury foundations for like special occasions, definitely not for use every single day. I love this. So I'm scheming on getting another one soon in the shade 4, because I only 10 stars across the board for this foundation. It is amazing. So then my second luxury foundation is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfecting Foundation. Yes, I still have it in the box. And my shade is shade Medium Deep 23. I feel like this was one of the closest shade matches in a foundation that I have found. So that's what that looks like. It is a very light, watery foundation. So that's what that looks like. Oh yeah, I love this foundation. Very light, feels like nothing, feels like air. It's almost, to me, when I put it on, like almost like a stain. It disappears into the skin. You don't feel anything. It really is sublime and skin perfecting amazingness, which you would expect nothing less from Pat McGrath. And I am always so happy that I purchased this foundation. Once again, I don't use this every day. I only use this on special occasions. It has 35 milliliters of product. Not cheap. Of course, it is a luxury brand foundation, but you buy it once, you don't use it every single day, it's gonna last quite a long time. So yeah, I definitely recommend this for anyone who loves Pat McGrath and luxury and foundations. This is the bomb. So now we're getting into the foundations that I use and have been using since I got them. And I'm gonna start with my surprise favorite foundation of 2021, Sephora's Best Skin Ever. This baby right here from Sephora. I will compare it to NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop, but way better. Because that was one drugstore foundation that I really liked and would use when I wanted like full coverage, like just full coverage and just like really like nice skin. This has that beat. It is $20, which for Sephora is affordable. And you get 25 milliliters of product. You only need like 2 pumps of this. I only need 2 pumps of this. I only use on average 2 pumps of just about any foundation unless it's like really light. It's amazing. Go look at my first impression of this. It's just so freaking good. I have it in the shade 35N. Initially, I had picked out a shade on their website and then I saw that it was too dark for me when I tried it. So I went back to the store and I picked up this one. I had one of the women who work at Sephora shade match me and it was perfect. So this again is 35N. Like I said about the neutrals are really good to me. And that's what that looks like. I've definitely used this in the past like week or so several times. It is the foundation that I reach for when I just know like this is gonna look good. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about the coverage. It's going to be perfect. This is one of the foundations that I know when it's done, I will definitely be replacing it. Definitely. So Fenty Beauty came out with the Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint Foundation. And I didn't know how I was gonna feel about this. Even in my first impression review of it, I wasn't quite sure. But I used this foundation for weeks afterwards because I love this for a no makeup look. It is light coverage, but you can build it up a little bit and it just makes your skin look like it's your skin, like you're not really wearing anything. But it does something. It clearly makes a difference. And I was using this a whole lot after I first reviewed it. I used it with a sponge, I used it with a brush. I think I prefer it with a brush. I used it with my fingers. And I was just like, oh, this is doing something. This really does have blurring properties. It does have coverage, even though it's not like high coverage. I really like this stuff. I also like how quickly I can throw together a no makeup look. And one day I think that I will just do a dedicated video of a no makeup look using this Fenty Beauty Skin Blurring Skin Tint Serum Foundation because I love this. I was just really surprised at how much I kept using it after I did the video because I was just like, I'm not sure this is anything, but it is. I got this in the shade 19 and this is what it looks like. It's a dropper bottle. You can do this, you can put it on a tray, whatever it is that you do. Since it has this little nozzle, I always end up going like this, which I usually hate doing on camera, but I think that is the purpose of this. It's just trying to make things really easy for you. It's just a quicker prep to me. And you can go in with all the other things that you do. I just try to use light coverage concealer with this kind of serum foundation because it's not a heavy makeup look. So I really love this. I haven't used it in a few days, but this is one of the foundations that's in my regular rotation, and I really love this. Okay, so another surprise foundation that just came out of the woodwork that I tried that I was blown away by is the Rare Beauty foundation. So the official name for the Rare Beauty foundation is the Liquid Touch Weightless foundation, and I have 2 of them And the first one that I got is 450N. The second one that I got is the 400W. So this is the warmer tone. This is the neutral tone, but this one was definitely too dark, even though I can still use it. This one was the absolute perfect match for me. So I'm gonna swatch both of these. The liquid is quite liquidy. So yeah, this is definitely not foundation that you wanna like pour out. They give us these really big applicator brushes, which I was not a big fan of. I still would prefer a pump, but I'm fine with it because you need so little of this. You have really just to touch your face in a few spots and blend it out, and it is so amazing, the finish. So let me just swatch. Let me swatch the darker color first. This one is 450N. So let me just find some room down here. So that's 450N. And then this one is 400W. This is my match. So that's what that looks like. And I was blown away by these. Absolutely blown away by this formula. Another very lightweight. I'm going to go there and put it on a par with the Pat McGrath foundation, only as a way to explain the lightness of it. It's so light. You never feel like there's a whole lot of foundation on your face. It doesn't feel cakey. It doesn't feel tight. It doesn't feel clogging. For me, between this and the Best Skin Ever foundation by Sephora, sometimes I'm just like either or. You're never gonna feel like it's too much. It's so light and airy and soft, the finish, and natural. I haven't used them in a while, definitely gonna be using them soon. So the last foundation that I will discuss is the LYS Love Yourself Triple Fix Serum Foundation. That's what I'm wearing right now. And I have it in the shade DN3. This foundation is very interesting. In my first impression, I talk about how this is the first clean beauty foundation I've ever tried. And I'm super proud of the fact that it is also the first Black-owned clean beauty brand by Tisha Thompson. And like I said, I'm wearing it now. When I put it on, I always note the cool feeling. There's like a cool feeling that I get. And I don't know what that is, but I love it. Maybe it's absorbing into my skin. Maybe it's like all the good ingredients that are in there. Maybe it's because it feels like skincare as much as it does feel like foundation. Whatever it is, I love it. Like, I love the finish of it. I think it's really great. It is not super high coverage. It's definitely, I feel like, medium, and you can build it up. But this is, again, it's a clean beauty brand foundation. This is not like about super high beat face coverage. This is more about putting good ingredients into your skin and getting a nice, like, natural sort of coverage. What I do like about this foundation finish as well is that it gives a little bit of a dew. I'm not sure it's really showing up here. I do use powders to set because I have oily skin, but I like a foundation that gives me some dewiness, some glowiness, and that is not fully matte. I've shied away from foundations that are too much about matte finishing, you know, the way that I did initially when I got into makeup, because I have oily skin and I felt like, oh, I have to have everything be so dry, which is absolutely not the case. I really more prefer to have a little bit of that skin-like finish on my face when I use foundations now. And I feel like I get that with this. So I absolutely have been using this foundation as well. So I think right now these are the three that I use most often. This one I don't have to ever worry about. This one is really great for no makeup look. Love the finish of this also gives me a dewy finish. And I love the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation as well. So I wanna say that these three I've been using most often recently. If I add in the Rare Beauty, these four would be the foundations that I want to be the top four that I like use all the time. As you can see, I have foundations here that I haven't used them in over a year. Some of them I haven't used for a few months. But the number 14, you know, unless somebody comes out with something amazing in the next few months, I just want to stay here and start to like pare it down, because I don't know if I'm going to be using the foundations. Like, I don't know. I want to finish this Beauty Bakerie foundation. I don't care if it is expired. I want to finish it. I mean, look at it. It's just a little bit left. But when I have these, it's just like, I have to figure out like how to just finish them up, how to pull them into my rotation, you know, and use them as well. But that's where we're at right now. I hope that this video was somewhat helpful to you. If for no other reason, if you're interested in any of these brands and you're my skin shade, complexion, tone, you have some references and also some price points to make comparisons and think about whether you want to try these out. They're all really, really good foundation. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. It was a lot of fun for me, and I hope to see you in my next video soon. Bye.